Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Morning Yoga. My name is Kira. I'll be taking you through a 60-minute class this morning. So before we begin, any requests? I'm always here if you guys do have requests, so please let me know. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Come to a comfortable seat, sitting up tall, stacking the spine over the pelvic floor. And then begin to bring your attention to your deep low belly and breathe into the deep low belly, letting the belly expand on each inhale and then slowly collapse on the exhale. As you settle into your breath this morning, begin to bring air bubbles of space into each vertebrae as you breathe. Just letting each vertebrae stack and expand on top of the other one like little building blocks. Let your skull float on top of the spinal column, crown of the head drawing towards the ceiling. And then for this morning, begin to count your breath, and we're going to even out the inhale and the exhale. So either using a 3-count or 4-count breath, whatever is most appropriate for you. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, and trying to even out the quality and the quantity of every inhale and exhale. This breathing technique slows the heart rate. It engages the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxed state. It's a very, very helpful tool to be able to tap into both while we're moving through our yoga postures this morning and as we move through our lives off the mat. Inviting some steadiness into the body. In the Yoga Sutras, we talk about sthira and sukham, steadiness and ease. And how every asana, every posture should have that quality of steadiness and ease. And can we begin to cultivate that in our yoga practice so that we may take it into the rest of our lives, into our relationships, into our workplaces, benefiting everything and everyone around us. This quality that we bring through life, steadiness and ease. Take a few more rounds of breath here. If it's appropriate for your practice, maybe taking a moment to set an intention for your practice. As you're ready, blinking the eyes open, coming back into this present moment, and we'll begin with our movement practice today. So we'll start in Tadasana, mountain pose today. So just begin with lift all 10 toes, root down through the toe mounds, and then cast the nuts of your toes out and wide, rooting the knuckles of each toe into the mat, and then just start to rock back and forth, shifting your weight between the ball mound and the heel dots of your toes, and then find that perfect spot of balance where you're engaging equally through the heel dots and the big toe mounds. And then draw the energy up your ankles, up your shins, and then squeeze your thighs together as if you have a yoga block between your thighs. Draw the tailbone towards the ground. Neutral pelvis. You can bring hands to hips to check in that your hips are in line. Sacrum broad behind the back. Send your breath to the back body. And then low ribs in. Ribs over hips, shoulders over hips. Draw your shoulder blades together and down the back body so they attach onto your back ribs. And then the biceps turn out, palms out, ears over shoulders. This is our perfect Tadasana. I hesitate to say that word perfect, but we'll come back to this pose over and over again. It's good to take a moment of effort in this pose. And then on an inhale, sweep the arms out and overhead. And then exhale, cactus the arms, draw the elbows down to the ground, shoulder blades draw together. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, cactus the arms like you're doing a lat pull down in the gym. Very effortful. Inhale, exhale. One more time, inhale. Exhale, feeling expansion through the collarbones. Inhale, arms out, and then on an exhale, draw the right arm down beside you. Root through the left foot as you draw up and over towards the right, side bending. Expanding from the left fingertips down to the left toes. Draw your left shoulder blade down the back to create more space between your left ear and your left shoulder. And then inhaling, come on back up to center, skillfully with control, and then exhale, left arm alongside you. Root down through the right foot. Inhale to expand and lift before you side bend. Breathing space into the right side body. And then inhaling, come back up to center. One more time, drop the right arm down. Inhale, expand, exhale, side bend. Inhale, sweep both arms up, drop the left arm. Inhale, exhale, side bend. And then inhale, sweep both arms up, exhaling, palms to the mat, to the sides of the body rather. And then we'll just go through a few rounds of Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A. Sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, pull the heart forward, melting into a forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, half lift forward, half lift, exhale. And then step back to a plank pose. In your plank pose, legs are nice and active, pressing the heels into the wall behind you. Push the floor away from you with your palms. Traction the shoulder blades together, and then slowly with control, lower down so hips, heart, chest all arrive at the same time. Flip the feet, root your hip points into the mat, pull the elbows together, peel the heart forward and up, coming into a low cobra pose. Inhale, and then exhale, carefully lower down. Flip the toes, press up to a kneeling plank, and then shift the hips up and back, coming into a downward facing dog. One round of breath here, and then slowly walk the feet up between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, melt your heart down, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Palms meet together at the heart center on the exhale. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Inhale, peel the heart forward, half lift. Exhale, hands frame the foot, step back to your plank pose. In plank pose, squeeze your thighs together, belly button to spine. Carefully, slowly lower down with control, steadiness and ease. Pull your heart between your arm bones, lift up, curly through the spine, ears soft. And then exhale, release. Tuck the toes, press back through a kneeling plank. Lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, walk forward. Half lift as you arrive and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Palms meet the heart center on the exhale. We'll do this 2 more times. Moving your breath with movement. Inhale, present your heart, half lift. Exhale, hands frame the foot, step back. Arrive in plank and then peel, lower down, peeling up to your back bend of choice. Exhale, slowly release, tuck the toes, press on up, one straight line. Hinge at the hips, meeting in downward facing dog. Take 3 rounds of breath in downward facing dog. Pressing through all 4 corners of your palms. Drawing the energy up your forearms, biceps roll out. Biceps roll in, and draw the shoulder blades down the back. Tailbone lifts to the back of the room, and then walk forward. Half lift as you arrive, exhaling, forward fold. On an inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Palms meet heart center on the exhale. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, hands frame the foot and step back to plank pose. Lower down, back bend of your choice. Peeling the heart forward. And then shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 3 rounds of breath here. Draw your toes towards your shins. Activate through your quads and sink your heels a little bit closer to the mat. And then walk forward. Inhale, half lift as you arrive. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, palms to your sides. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, plant the palms and then step back to a plank pose. We'll take a few moments in plank. Check in with your pelvis. You want a neutral pelvis. Drawing the shoulder blades onto your back ribs. Push the floor away. Hollow out through your armpits. And the neck is soft, reaching the crown of the head towards the front of the room. Inhale, and then on your exhale, pike from your deep low belly to pull your hips towards the ceiling, coming into down dog. And then again, from your deep low belly, initiate the movement to return to a plank pose. So think of this as our cat-cow for the day. Instead, we're going to do this core workout, this plank to down dog. Moving from the deep low belly. We'll take 2 more rounds. Squeezing the thighs together. Pressing the floor away from you to create length through the spine. And then hinging at the hip, thinking of lubricating our hip joints, warming up for our yoga practice this morning. Next time you're in down dog, stay there. And then on an inhale, step the right foot between the hands and then drop the left leg, left knee to the mat. From here, press the left foot into the mat, the top of the left foot into the mat, and then think hips forward rather than down to come into this hip flexor stretch. And then peel your heart forward, like make a tiny, tiny cow back. And then on an exhale, from the deep low belly, shift your hips back so that the front leg straightens, coming into a half Hanumanasana, half splits. And do a slight cat back here. And then exhaling, pull forward. And then move your breath to your movement, cycling through this a few times. The key is leading from the deep low belly. Slight cat cat back as you move into half splits. Slight cow pose as you come into your lunge. Warming up the hamstrings, warming up the hip socket, and then constantly working our heart opening. Next time you are forward, stay there. Hands frame the foot, tuck the back toes, and then press so much through the back heel of your left foot that your knee begins to raise. And then scissors your legs together so that you get a little bit buoyant through your pelvis. And then crawl your hands towards the left side. Drop your left heel and come into our Skandasana. You might be up here, depending on the flexibility in your ankles and your hips. But we're just going to shift this from side to side a few times, seeing how that feels. Hands can be to hips. It could be here. And you'll notice a different sensation depending on if you're keeping your foot planted or if you're coming onto the heel. Both are completely legal. You're just working into different areas of your hips and hamstrings. So whatever feels good to you today, do. And the same with your bent foot. You can keep the ankle, the heel, all the way on the floor if that's accessible to you. Otherwise, the heel lifting is okay. The important thing is to keep the knee tracking over our toes, keeping integrity through the belly. So you're moving, pulling with the belly to move from side to side, and then keeping the heart lifted. We'll take a few more rounds of this. I don't know about you, but this feels really good today. And then we'll come on to the second side. So hands frame the left foot, and then drop the right knee to the mat, pressing the top of the right foot into the mat. Hips go forward rather than down to feel a stretch through your right hip flexor. And then hands can frame the foot. And then on your next exhale, you can start to curl and round, thinking cat back. Move from the deep low belly to send the hips back so much that your left leg straightens. And then on an inhale, pull forward, peel the heart open. And then exhale, shifting the hips back. Engaging through your core. Thinking cat and cow. Noticing the differences from side to side. We'll take just a few more rounds. Warm up that left hamstring. And then the next time you're forward, stay forward, tuck the right toes, and then press through the right heel so much that the back leg begins to straighten. And then again, we'll walk towards the inner edge of our mat and drop down into our Skandasana. We'll just take like 3 rounds here. Don't want to overdo this, but it also feels nice. Okay, and then hands frame the right foot at the top of your mat. Stay in this low lunge. Scissors the legs together. Get nice and active through the back foot. Feel a buoyancy through your pelvis, and then raise your torso up. Hands can frame the ears, or biceps can frame the ears rather. Back leg is active. And then on an exhale, turning from the deep low belly, turn to your right, sweep the right arm behind you, coming into a twisting crescent pose. Pulling the left hip forward, right hip back to square the hips to the front of the room. Inhale, and then as you exhale, come back through center, and then windmill the arms around, drop the back heel, coming into your warrior 2 pose. So grounding down through the pinky side edge of your back foot, sinking a little bit deeper into your forward foot, hitting down through the heel of your right foot. And then on an inhale, straighten the front leg and arms can lift. Maybe walking your stance in slightly, setting up for our triangle pose. So arms out like a capital letter T, and then shift your left hip back as you pull your right arm forward, 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 and then start to bend down, coming into your triangle pose. Squeezing your legs together to shine your hips towards the side of the room, and then pressing your right arm into your right leg to spiral your heart towards the right side of the room. Expanding through your collarbones. And then on an inhale, pull so much with your left lifted arm that you start to rise on up. And then turn the toes towards the long edge of your sticky mat. Engage through all four corners of the feet, but especially pushing through the pinky side edge. Draw energy up the inseams of your pants, and then think of it as spiraling back down the outer seam to get really, really solid. And then knees in line with ankles, hips in line with knees. Don't change anything, but hinge at the hips. Pull your heart forward, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Noticing where you are today. Maybe hands come down to blocks or the floor. But creating length through the spine, so the tailbone reaching towards the back of the mat, crown of the head reaching forward. One more inhale, and then walk your hands over to the left side, and we'll set up for the left side. Coming into a deep low lunge. Back leg is nice and active. Hollow out the belly. And from the belly, rise on up into your crescent pose. Hit down through the front heel, and then see if you can sink a little bit deeper into the front leg. Drawing the left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale, and on an exhale, turning from the deep low belly towards the left, sweep the left arm behind you, coming into this twisting crescent pose. Expanding through the collarbones, feeling the steadiness in your legs to allow your upper body to expand. Inhale, sweep the arms up, and then dropping the heel of the back foot, coming into warrior two on this side. Drop the tailbone towards the ground. Draw the low ribs in. Press the mat away from you so much that you start to sink a little bit more into that front leg. Ribs are over hips. And then feel kind of like this weightless expansion through the arms. Your warrior two sword arms. And then inhale, arms overhead, straighten the leg, maybe shortening your stance slightly. Arms out to a capital letter T. Shift the hip back, lean forward, forward, leading with your heart. And then dropping the arm to a block, your shin, the ground. Pushing so much to the pinky side edge of your back foot that your hips can start to turn more towards the side of the room. And then rotating through your deep low belly, and then through your ribs, and finally through your collarbones to expand your wings like a capital letter T. And then get so much energy in your lifted arm and pull, pull, pull that you start to rise on up, coming back to standing. And then turn the toes to face the long edge of your sticky mat once more. And then we'll turn the right toes out, left toes follow, coming back into our warrior two pose on the right side. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sweating. So set up your warrior two as you know how. We'll take just a moment of breath. And then inhale, arms up, straighten the front leg. Exhale, pull forward, coming back into your triangle pose on this side. Press through the pinky side edge of your back foot. Press through the big toe mound of your forward foot. Spin your heart towards the side of the room. And then start to bend into your forward leg. Place your right hand outside and to the edge of your right foot, about a foot. And then we're going to walk the back leg in just slightly, bringing the left foot to your hip, and then start to glide, bringing your balance, bringing your weight into your right foot, and start to glide the back foot up, coming into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Now you can be under a block. If you have a chair nearby, you can place your hand on the chair for balance. Bring the ground just a little bit closer to you. You're going to stay really active through the lifted leg, hugging the lifted leg into the hip socket, and then the foot is nice and active. And then spinning your heart towards the side of the room. One more inhale. Exhale. And then bringing, slowly, carefully, with control, bringing the left foot back down to the ground. Take a moment in a forward fold, wide-legged, or maybe a little bit more wide-legged than normal. Maybe coming down into a Malasana quick. Drawing the tailbone towards the mat, chest lifts, squeezing the triceps into knees, knees into triceps. And then we'll set up for the second side. So your left leg will be forward, right leg back, spiral the right leg down to the ground, windmill the arms out and up, coming into warrior two on this side. We'll just take one round of breath here. And then inhale, arms up, straighten the front leg, shift the hip back, and then pull the heart forward, creating space in the hip crease as you come down. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Rooting down through the big toe mound of the forward foot. Peeling the heart towards the side of the room. And then bring hand to hip, bend into the forward leg, walk the back foot in just a little bit. Bring your left hand out into the side about a foot, and then glide the right foot up. Hug the right femur into the right hip socket. Squeeze through your glute of your standing leg and root down through the big toe mound of the standing foot. From this place of steadiness and ease, start to spiral your heart even more towards the side of the room. And then slowly, carefully, with control, lower down. And we'll come back into a yogi squat. So you want your knees over your toes. Tailbone dropping down. And pressing your triceps into your knees to lift your heart. Lovely. From here, bring your right foot forward, coming into a lunge. Drop the left knee down to the mat, untuck the toes, and press the top of your left foot into the mat. And then walk your right leg out to the side, maybe even off the mat slightly, and then turn the toes out at about a 25-degree angle. And you want to keep your knees pointed over your toes. So we're in kind of this wide-legged lunge. So your hands are both inside of your right leg. And then you can begin to lower down depending on the flexibility in your hips. But as you do so, tether your pelvic floor, your deep low belly, to your heart space. So like imagine that your deep low belly and your heart move as one. They're tethered together, and you're going to lower them in one line. So you're not rounding into this pose, but rather you're lowering your hips, your heart, and your shoulders at the same time. You may find that practicing this way, you don't get as deep as you normally could. But that's totally fine. We want to keep the integrity of the pose. And then from here, walk the left hand out to the side, maybe off the mat slightly. And then turn your chest and your heart towards the right side of the room. Bring your right arm to your right knee and just traction ever so slightly, applying just a little teensy bit of pressure. And roll your heart open towards the right side of the room. If it's interesting to you, you can start to squeeze into your left hamstring and curl the left heel in towards your butt for an added quad stretch on the left. And then maybe begin to curl your heart open so much that you can reach back and grab your toes or your ankle or the top of your foot with your right hand. From here, belly button to spine. Shoulder blades onto the back of your ribs. And then inhaling slowly with control, release. Come on back through center. Tuck the back toes, press into the heels so much that the back leg picks off the ground. And then from your core, press the floor away from you, and from your core, pick up the right foot slowly, carefully, quietly, and step back to plank pose. And from here, pike through the hips, lift the hips up and back to down dog. Inhale, peel forward into plank. Exhaling, lift the hips up and back. Inhale, pull forward to plank. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. And then on an exhale, step the left leg out wide to the side. And then drop the right knee down to the mat. Right top of foot presses into the mat. And we'll take just a few moments to breathe into our lizard lunge here. Knees tractioning over toes. Crawl out of your hips before you start to come down. If you're coming onto forearms, coming into this pose a little bit deeper. Remember that tethering between the heart space and the deep low belly, moving as a single unit closer to the ground. And then walk the right arm out to the side, fingertips point out a little bit. And then begin to roll your heart towards the left side of the room, left hand to right knee, and just ever so slightly, teensy bit of pressure to help you roll your heart even more open towards the side of the room. collarbones wide. And then if it's interesting to you, like we did on the second side or the first side, squeeze into the hamstring and begin to curl the right heel in towards the right butt. And then press the floor away from you, slight cat back to create a little bit more space. Spiral your heart open even more to the side and sweep the left arm back and see if you can catch your foot in your hand. And once you get it, don't just let go and let your arm do all of the work. Keep your hamstring engaged. So your foot is assisting in opening your heart, just as your heart is assisting in opening your hamstring. Ears back, neck soft. Find the steadiness and ease. And then exhale, slowly, with control, unwind. Just as carefully as we got into the pose. Tuck the back toes under. Press into the heels so much that you lift your right knee off of the ground, and then press the floor away from you. Hollow out the armpits, and from the core, slowly, silently, step the left foot back into plank pose. From plank, slowly with control, lower down. When you arrive, flip the toes and then lengthen each leg by picking it up and kind of scooting back, and then make a nice connection with your hip points to the ground, tops of feet into the ground, and then bring your arms out wide so that your elbows stack over your palms, and then tent the fingertips. Draw the shoulder blades together, root down through your pelvis, and peel your heart forward, coming into this wide cobra. Inhale, pull the heart forward and down to come out of the pose the way you came into it. And on your next inhale, repeat, pull the heart forward and up. And then exhaling, release. So you don't want to be feeling this in your low back at all. You're pulling your heart forward, and you're creating the back bend in your upper back, in your thoracic spine. So if you're feeling it in your low back, come out of it. Draw your attention to your deep low belly, belly button to spine, engage the core. Draw the shoulder blades together. And then inhale, pull forward, even tractioning your hands against the floor or your sticky mat, tractioning back to peel forward and up. And then once you're up, stay up. You can come down to the palms if that's a little bit more comfortable for you. Maintaining integrity in your core, and then we'll just start to rotate, looking over the left shoulder, and then looking over the right shoulder, just bringing some rotation into the spine here. Do one more round on each side. Come back through center, and then inhale, slowly release. And then from here, placing the elbows underneath the shoulders, fingertips roll out slightly so that your thumbs are pointing more towards the front of your mat. This keeps the entire forearm and wrist glued into the mat and just gives you a little bit more support. And so you'll press through all four corners of the palms, pull your shoulder blades together and down your back. Feel an expansion through your collarbones. Press down through your elbows. Peel the heart through your arm bones for Sphinx pose. Evening out the inhale and the exhale here. And then exhale, slowly release. From here, kick your left knee towards your butt and come back Prop up onto your right elbow. So the right elbow is under the shoulder, and then the forearm can come at a 45-degree angle. And then reach back with your left arm and begin to draw the left heel towards the outside of your left butt. This is half Bakasana, frog pose. So you want to keep your elbow pointing towards the ceiling. And then pressing through the elbow of your right foot. So you're still, this is still a heart opener. You're still expanding through your collarbones, expanding through your chest, peeling the heart forward as you come into this quad stretch. And then exhaling slowly, release. You can rest, bringing the forehead to your arms. And then we'll set up for the second side. So coming onto the left elbow, elbow under shoulder, palm at a 45-degree angle, and then kick the right leg up. And then come onto your elbow, broaden through the collarbones, and like we were in that twisting lizard, sweep your heart open so much that your right arm kicks back and catches hold of the top of the foot. Point your elbow towards the ceiling and draw the heel of your foot towards the outside of your right hip. Breathing into any sensations that arise, and then exhaling, slowly release. Take a moment to just rest for a second, neutralize the spine. And then finally, bringing your palms outside of your hips, bend into both legs and activate through the heels, and then start to peel your heart up and back, and then grabbing onto your ankles. It can be helpful to use a strap here. You can put a strap around the ankle so that you grab onto the strap, and then that way you give yourself a little bit more length in the arms here. And then begin to squeeze your shoulder blades together. Roll your heart open, ears back, lifting through the chest, and then begin to kick your legs into your hands and pull your hands into your legs to lift on up into boat pose or bow pose, Dhanurasana. Squeeze your inner thighs together. And then exhale slowly, carefully, release. We'll take that one more time. So as you're ready, bending into the knees, and then begin by peeling the heart forward. Hip points are grounding into the mat. The hip points are your focal point of this pose. So bring your awareness to your hips. Those are your foundation. And then start to kick your feet into your hands into your feet. Ears soft, and carefully, slowly lower down. And then as you're ready, you can shift your hips back, slowly coming into a child's pose. In your child's pose, sink your hips towards your heels and walk your hands away from you creating length through the side body, melting the heart towards the mat. And then inhaling, walk yourself back up to a seated position. Roll onto one side, kick your legs out in front of you and come onto your back, setting up for a few rounds of bridge, which is a very similar shape to what we were just in, but we've played with gravity a little bit, and you can really start to build some body awareness if you think about the way that shapes feel in relationship to gravity. So bring your heels in towards your bum. Think neutral pelvis, tailbone down the mat, and then press your elbows into the mat, shoulder blades into the mat, and then the back of your head just about 10% into the mat. And then on an inhale, squeeze your glutes, lift your hips, come on up to our bridge pose. Pressing into the heels, squeezing the thighs together. Maybe reaching down and seeing if you can grab onto your heels like we just were. And play with that. Take 3 to 5 breaths in bridge. Squeezing the thighs together. Heart up, rolling onto shoulders if that's in your practice. And then exhaling slowly, carefully, with control, lowering down. Taking a moment to neutralize the spine here. It might feel good to walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat and have the knees draw together. Or it might feel good to do the opposite and draw the soles of the feet together and let the knees go wide. Find what feels right in your body in this moment. And then bringing the legs back to center. Hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice little hug. And then roll onto one side. Come back up to seated. And we'll do Gopasana, cow face pose. So from here, the easiest way to get into this pose, and you might need like a pillow or a blanket or a block or a book underneath your hips, depending on what you have around you. So to begin with, we are going to come onto all fours. Let's see, what's the best angle for you guys to see this? And then draw your right knee behind your left knee so that you're kind of like you're sitting cross-legged. And then just start to shift your hips back and come on to seated. And you might have to shimmy and shake once you get there. And you might notice differences day to day in this pose. Side to side, definitely. So you could be sitting on a block that can help give yourself a little bit of room in this pose. So both feet are active, pressing the pinky side edge of both feet into the floor. Both hip points making a nice connection to whatever it is that you happen to be sitting on right now. Spine tall, collarbones wide, heart high, ears soft. And then from here, bring your arms out like a capital letter T, and then crossing the right elbow under the left elbow, start to wind the forearms together and bring the palms to touch. This is our Garudasana, eagle arms with our cow face pose. Think slight cat back in your upper body to traction your shoulder blades away from each other. But continue to make space between the tops of your shoulders and your ears, and then press your forearms away from your face, palms together, and try to lift your elbows another half inch. And then slowly, carefully unwind the arms. And then come on forward to come out of Gomukhasana. Pause for a moment in just a tabletop position, and then we'll take the left leg behind the right knee and start to shift our hips back, coming into seated. Laughing at the differences from side to side. Making a steady connection with our sit bones on whatever it is that we're sitting on. Pinky side edges karate chopping into the mat. Spine tall, heart high. And then arms out like a capital letter T. Inhale, and then on the exhale, sweep the left elbow under the right elbow this time. Forearms squeezing together, and then the palms meet wherever they happen to meet. Slight cat back in the upper body. Create space for your shoulders. Create space between the tops of your shoulders and your ears. Press the forearms into each other even more and begin to raise your elbows slightly. Palms drawing away from your face. And then inhaling slowly, carefully unwind. And then carefully roll forward, come out of that pose. And then sweep the arms behind you, legs in front of you. Legs wide, and then just very slowly windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Moving the legs from the hip sockets, so the hips themselves are not moving. Exploring the entire range of motion in your hip as it moves through internal and external rotation. Take a few more rounds of that. And then for the final pose of the day, yogi's choice, we're going to do a forward fold. You can either come into a traditional Paschimottanasana, forward fold, legs together. You can take a bound angle, soles of the feet together, or you can take the Sanskrit is escaping me. You can take this wide-legged forward fold. So kind of move through each of those, see what your body wants, and then make a choice and come into it, and I'll cue them similarly. So if you're in the traditional forward fold, squeeze your legs together like you have one leg, and then press your heels into the mat. If you're in wide-legged forward fold, also do all of these things. Pressing the heels into the mat, engaging the quadriceps, pressing the backs of the legs into the mat. So we're still using our muscular energy about 20% here. If you're in bound angle, squeeze through your glutes to draw your knees closer to the mat. And then begin by sitting up tall. Rooting down through your sit bones. And then as you start to fold forward, hinge from your hips and draw your heart forward, not down. And then as you come to the end range motion of your hip hinge, then you can start to crawl your arms forward and then begin to round through your mid back, think cat back, and then drop the crown of the head beyond your toes. We're still using muscular energy about 20% here. That actually facilitates more of a stretch through the back body. Also keeps our connective tissues happy, which is good. And then slowly, as you're ready, begin to walk yourself back towards a neutral spine. Legs out long in front of you, and then roll onto your back, coming into our Savasana. If there are any other poses that you are craving right now, please take them. Whatever you do, make sure that you do both sides if you're doing an asymmetrical pose. And then setting up for Shavasana, let the legs turn out, let the arms turn out away from your body, biceps roll out, palms up. And let the weight of your body sink into the mat. And give yourself this gift of stillness for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Something that we so rarely do and so often need. Allow any thoughts to come and go like clouds passing by on a summer afternoon. You can observe them, you can appreciate them, but you don't need to hold on to them in this moment. As you're ready, begin to invite some movement back into the body. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes, rolling out through the wrists, through the ankles. Bringing the arms overhead and taking a nice, luxurious, full body stretch. And then sigh it all out, let it go. Rolling onto one side, come to the fetal position. And take a moment here to enjoy the comfort of your own company. Check in with your breath. Take a moment to thank your breath for guiding you today through your practice. Today and every day. Your breath that is always there for you. And then as you're ready, making your way to a comfortable seat, sitting up spine tall. On an inhale, turn the biceps out, palms up, sweep the arms out and overhead, palms join overhead. On an exhale, bringing thumb knuckles to heart center. Take a moment of gratitude here, a moment to thank yourselves at least as much as I thank each and every one of you for so intentionally carving out this time today to practice. To practice together, apart, in our spaces beyond a building. So thankful for each and every one of you. To each of you I bow. Namaste. Om. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. As I said at the beginning of class, any requests, please let me know. Would love to hear from you all. And if you have any questions about anything yoga at the J, please reach out. I think you all know where to find me by now. Namaste. Have a great day. See you soon.